Using our sense of the world to make sense of the world. For inner and outer world peace through individual strength. Feeling so good from the inside out. Better than your morning would feel without. I said, feeling so good from the inside out. Better than your morning would feel without. Welcome back to the Best Feeling Podcast and the Best Feeling Network, your only no-nonsense podcast. My name is Herbie, and this is Pal Go On. Good morning, wherever you are, whenever thou art, whether you are in a car, whether you are just waking up, whether you are some future time traveler watching us on a video on demand, aka a VOD somewhere on YouTube or something like that. I hope you're having a wonderful time on this lifetime of yours in this earth. In this simulation of ours in which we die every 5 minutes, but that timer is reset with a breath. We invite you to hold your controller properly with us today. How do we hold our controller properly today? We invite you to pretend that there's a candle in front of your lips, just flickering there, that you're trying to not put out. Just a lit candle, like a birthday candle, just lit, flickering in front of your mouth at all times, no matter what you are doing. And you yourself with the intention of simply not putting this candle out as it flickers in front of your lips. You're not thinking about exhaling or inhaling necessarily. It's simply about trying to not put this candle out wherever you are, in order to help us align our body closer to the truth, which is the weight of the body being delivered down the front of the spine. We know we don't force or steal or take by force a fantastic life-loving breath, but rather let go to align our body to receive this beautiful life-loving breath. We do not forcibly take it. We simply get out of our own way in order to receive it by allowing the weight-bearing portions of our spine to hold the weight of our body, so that the muscular parts of our body can feel free, to basically feel like they're floating, as the bony structures of your bodies, which don't have any nerve endings, bear all the weight so effortlessly just by the structure of their bony design. Remember to place the weight of the body down the front of the spine and into these rainbow arches at all times, as we do not sit on our legs. Guess what? It is 9 a.m. on a Monday, November 14th, 2022. And on Padawan, as you know, every Monday is a Mover Monday. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you're feeling so well. And I wish you the most well treatment of your own self as we observe our sense of self. Use some good old body magic tricks to align our body closer to the truth, most often associated with the front of the body, as we are so conditioned by society to place our weight of the body onto the back of our body just because it sounds like we should, through language like, oh, straighten your back, align your back, keep your back straight, keep your back against that chair. Although we were born in the fetal position and the weight-bearing portions of most of our body tends to be more closer to the front, why do we know that those weight-bearing portions of our body are closer to the front? Well, usually the front portions of our spines and our skeletal structures are very thick indeed. Like the front portion of the spine here. Though, ironically, from the outside looking in, we often think it's the back, just because we associate the back with like sitting down, laying back, putting your back against a wall, putting your weight onto the back of your heels. But little did we know, it's pretty much opposite of the truth, as most of the weight-bearing portions of our body tend to be the front. Why? We were all born into the fetal position, correct? Which curls around to the front, not freakishly to the back, like some kind of reverse shrimp. We're more like normal shrimp, but we're curling around the weight-bearing, thick portions of our spine. Today is Mover Monday. We'll be speaking about a relationship between ourselves and ourselves every Mover Monday as we introduce the body mapping of the week, which we'll revisit throughout the week. What are these body mappings? Possibly some body magic tricks to make it so easy to align ourselves closer to the truth so that we can let go and have a more peaceful experience and more authentic and free, which, as we know, are synonymous with happiness, balance, and easiest movement into any new patterns is from a position of balance. And it just feels so dang good, right? As we are placing our weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times. Again, say it with me. Weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times. If you would, say it one more time with me. Weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times. Good. No matter where you are, whether you are at a coffee shop, whether you are just waking up out of bed, whether you are getting ready for bed, no matter what you are doing, we hope you will join us in just reminding yourself, placing it back into your awareness, remembering how we do not forcibly take a breath, but rather use our awareness to get out of our own way, to make sure the muscles in our body are not pulling where they should not be, in order to allow the weight to go drop the weight into the front or into the weight-bearing portions of the skeletal structure that we have, because the skeletal structure is designed by virtue of its own structure and bony texture and design, and all of the curves in the skeletal structure are meant to balance our weight effortlessly onto the spine or onto the weight-bearing portions of our skeletal structure, so that the muscles and the visceral portions of our body, all the fleshy stuff, is just allowed to balance itself. It's just allowed to relax and be weightless while the skeletal structure does all the work, like a tent, holding our body up, putting no stress on the fleshy parts. As you remember, we do not sit on our legs. In order to get a full and proper and life-loving breath, again, we get out of our own way, make sure none of our muscles are pulling where they should not be, so that all the muscles that are supposed to be allow the weight to be handled by the proper part of our body, which is the skeletal structure. Today on this Mover Monday, we'll be talking about leaving the swallow muscles alone. Leaving the swallow muscles alone. As we know, to get a more relaxed and proper breath, contrary to what they would have you believe when they say, take a breath. We would often think that so much of taking a breath requires forcing and grabbing and pulling air that we need into our body. Grabbing it and pulling this air into our body like it belongs to us. But we would rather remind ourselves that letting go happens to be a largely important role in receiving a proper and life-loving breath for your body. To feel every moment new, to wash away all negative inside world pressures. It involves letting go in order to get a life-loving breath, in order to experience every moment anew. It requires letting go to receive a life-loving breath, which happens to be a self-aligning one. It's like self-chiropraction, as we align our bodies closer to the truth simply by allowing our body, giving ourselves permission giving our own bodies permission to receive a life-loving and aligning breath, as in a breath more closer to our design, as in a breath gifted to us simply by giving our bodies permission to allow the skeletal structure to take the weight of our body so that the muscular portions and the nervous portions of our body don't have to. We will be stretching our self-awareness like a muscle today, like listening for 7 different things in the room to stretch your hearing awareness. Please let us here on Pal Go On blend into the background, the symphony of your life, as you remain present in that present moment wherever you are, whether you are joining us in this premiere here at 9 a.m. in the morning on Monday, November 14, 2022, or whether you were out there somewhere in the future, you crazy time traveler, welcome back. We hope you will let us blend into that background of sound where you are. Where are you at? You hear that bird outside? Do you hear yourself sipping on that coffee? Are we in earphones right now, or are we being played publicly, filling the sound up? Or is your sound a little bit different now, as you have one earphone in and one earphone out, possibly? We hope you're remembering to listen to the front of the shins as if they're the speakers and tuning fork of the life around you, even as you are listening to us here on the speakers or in your earphones. We hope you'll spread that sweet, sweet, sweet hearing awareness down to the front of your shins and never the back. Those fleshy, meaty calves of yours are fleshy and meaty and impressive, but not designed to support the weight of your body, such that the fronts of your shins are. We might have forgotten about this as we placed our weight towards the back of our calves, as we might have hit our shins in our lifetimes, banged up our shins so many times that we stopped placing the weight down the front of them because we were afraid of the pain that comes along with it. But doesn't it feel so good from the inside out to remember that the weight-bearing portion of the spines is the front, and the weight-bearing portion of the shins also match to be the front? How much freedom are we going to feel today and the rest of the week as we kill this week? We go attack this week, not by forcing it into our hands, but giving ourselves permission to allow the world to gift us a life-loving alignment and life-loving energy, not by stealing and forcing this breath into our throats, but rather getting out of our own way to allow the skeletal structures of our body to support itself, and so that the rest of the muscles may relax, and in that relaxation, our lungs receive a proper and true, honest, life-loving, and body realigning breath that feels so good from the inside out. We hope you will hold your controller properly with us today as we speak a little about leaving the swallow muscles alone. We hope you will join us in experimenting a little bit with these body magic tricks just to see how it makes your sense of self feel. You know, your sense of self, kind of like how even with your eyes closed, your head feels different than your knees. You know, your placement of your left shoulder from your right shoulder is different. When you close your eyes, you can feel that your tongue is different than your heels. Your sense of self, you know. We'll be right back after this short break to talk about leaving your swallow muscles on, but only if you're holding your controller properly with us today, by pretending there's a candle in front of your lips and everyone's lips that we're trying to not put out. Welcome back to a new week. This is a Mover Monday here on Pal Go On. My name is Herbie. We'll be right back. Short break. Leave your swallow muscles alone. gummies that claim they're going to be boosting your mental capabilities, your physical performance, your behaviors in life? Tried them and then felt motivated yet slightly confused and cautious? I mean, are the effects even real or are they placebo? Are you achieving what you think you are achieving, or is it imagination? Do you have all this energy now, or is that imagination too? Be done with placebos. Be done with uncertainty. Isn't it so draining to be uncertain? You can't even begin to gain confidence in what you're doing. How about some actionable, specific advice instead? Take this gummy, feel the front of your shins. Bam! That one's free. Take Padawan with you wherever you go, whenever you go, and it feels so good from the inside out. Feeling so good from the inside out. Better than your morning would feel without. Using our sense of the world to make sense of the world. Why? For inner and outer world peace through individual strength, of course. Welcome back to the Best Feeling Podcast and the Best Feeling Network. Your only no-nonsense podcast. I'm your host, Herbie. This is Padawan. Welcome back to another Mover Monday. Today is November 14th, 2022, a Mover Monday here on Padawan. Every Monday is a Mover Monday here on Padawan, where we shall be discussing a relationship between ourselves and ourselves as we introduce the body map concept of the week. We shall be revisiting this concept throughout the week, refamiliarizing ourselves, reintegrating, getting it back into our bodies so that they may help us hold our controller properly today and for the rest of time, both immediately and continuously. Eventually becomes subconscious and unconscious as we fix the unconscious holding of our controller. What do you mean by our controller, Herbie? In this simulation of ours that we find ourselves in which we die every 5 minutes, but the timer is reset with a breath. We hold our controller properly in the simulation by pretending there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out, no matter where you are. In order to activate all those frontal facial muscles that are associated with, like, the idea of a lit candle in front of your lips. As that heat rises down up the front of your face. How often are those muscles activated? How does that feel for you? Why do we stress feeling so good from the inside out here on Padawan? Well, as we know, we want you to stay present wherever you are. Whether you're walking down the street, or whether you're trying to beat the heat, or whether you are at home, maybe you needed a sweet retreat. Wherever you are, we hope you are staying present, as we know that truth and authenticity are the most loving things you can be, as we know there is no future and no past, which makes your body the most honest and truthful thing there is, as your body is neither in the future nor the past, but rather is right here, always in the present. Nothing more true than the body you are in right now. As we align ourselves closer to the truths of the body, we are freeing up our muscles and visceral guts today. We are freeing up our guts. We are freeing up our muscle tissue today by allowing the weight-bearing portions of the body and the skeletal structure to do their job. And they do their job so well by virtue of their own structure, as they are already designed in the curvy structures of themselves to support and balance the weight of the body without so much of the nerve endings being pinched. The skeletal structure, the weight-bearing portion of our bodies, do their job so well. If we just allow them to do it well by getting out of its way and letting it balance the way that it needs to today, it does its job so well, allowing the body to basically float. As we remember, we do not sit on our legs, but we are staying in the moment by allowing the body to be aligned towards the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times. indeed so much of proper breathing, indeed in so much of getting that life-loving energy that you so desire and crave in life happens to be from letting go and simply giving our bodies permission to let the weight-bearing portions of the body do their job. How funny and coincidental and possibly unfortunate that the weight-bearing portions of the body tend to have less nerves on them, which makes them harder to detect whether or not they're doing their job. And so we have to look at the way they're doing their job based on how free the body feels. Kind of like how you don't, or kind of like how you can tell the pulse of your body, not even just by directly looking at the heart, but rather the pulsing that it will create. The ankles and the wrists and other parts in your body. You can detect the heartbeat from the presence of other sensations. We can detect the body's balance and other sensations. You might say, Herbie, isn't that stupid? Isn't that a dumb design that you can't feel the pleasure of balance when it's being activated? Well, part of the result of balance is a feeling of freeness. A feeling of freedom is like a lack of pain. And that can only be possible if the structures were this way, in that the bony, weight-bearing structures of your body did not have those nerves. If they did have those nerves there, they would not be able to do their job and just be a solid balential point for our body. Should there have been nerves there, it wouldn't be able to take all that weight and make us feel so free. Instead, it would try to take all that weight and make us feel so hurt. Kind of a funny design, almost feels backwards, but we're going to get us through it today by doing some body magic tricks to help us align towards that, since it is so hard to feel. But it has to be hard to feel, because if it was sensitive, it wouldn't be able to do the weight-bearing job that it needs to. Seems like kind of a backwards topic, but we'll be making it through today. Will we be leaving you high and dry, or shall we be using some body magic tricks to feel so good on the way throughout? What are some of these body magic tricks? Here on Pagawan and a Mover Monday, we will be talking about leaving our swallow muscles alone. Indeed, leaving our swallow muscles alone. How does that feel for you? As we remember, the weight of the body wants to be delivered down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times. As we are simply allowing our body to deliver the weight into the weight-bearing portion of the spine, which is the front. Wherever you are, whether you're sitting or you're standing, are we trying to force a breath in? Are we trying to steal a breath? As we observe our sense of self, as in how your body might perceive where the middle of your torso is, whether it feels it incorrectly at the waist or correctly down at the hip joints. That is your anatomical middle. Your sense of self, as in how your left eye feels different than your right eye. Even when you're staring at a distance, or even when you're closing your eyes, your right eye, vice versa, feels different than your left eye to yourself. Your sense of self, as in how your left elbow feels different than your right elbow. Or how your pinkies feel different than your thumbs. What is the sense of self? Well, simply observing these differences in your body and how your body is in relationship to itself generates this sense of self. So how does our sense of self feel when we, instead of forcing a breath into what we perceive to be our lungs, how does our sense of self feel when we remember that proper receiving of a life-loving breath involves simply giving our body permission to drop its weight onto the proper weight-bearing portions of our skeletal structure? And how does your sense of self feel? As we remember that the tips of our tongues want to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth, kind of like in this picture that you'll see up on the screen. You'll notice that the tip of the tongue wants to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth, the back of those bottom front incisors. The tip of the tongue kind of wants to be anchored there no matter what we are saying, no matter what consonant, no matter what vowel, no matter what position we are in life. Whether you're upside down underwater, whether you're doing backflips, whether you're doing front flips, whether you're doing cartwheels. The tip of the tongue wants to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth, while the back of that tongue is free to move up and down. How does our sense of self feel today when we think about remaining the tip of the tongue wanting to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth? How does our sense of self feel when we allow the weight of the body being delivered down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches, the sit bones at all times? We do not sit on our legs. How does the sense of self feel? I challenge you to observe your sense of self as you are listening to the symphony of the world around you through the front of your shins. I challenge you to observe your sense of self as you leave your swallow muscles alone. The muscles that you associate with eating food and drink. When we are breathing, as in when we are aligning our body in order to receive the life-loving breaths that fuel our lives and give us energy in life. I challenge you to observe your sense of self as you leave your swallow muscles alone. As long as we are still allowing that sweet, sweet awareness, sweet, sweet hearing awareness to be placed on the front of our shins as if they're the speakers of the world, tuning forks of the sound awareness of the world around us. I challenge you to observe your sense of self as you now leave your swallow muscles alone. Whether your hearing awareness is on the music that is accompanying us right now, or whether it's on the sounds of the clanking cups and clanking glassware around you. Listening all throughout the symphony to the front of your shins, I challenge you to observe your sense of self as you leave your swallow muscles alone. What might happen? Do you feel the body feel more permission to allow the weight to be delivered down the front of your body, down this diagram behind me, down this blue line? How do we feel our connection? How do we feel our relationship to our sense of self? We observe our sense of self with the awareness of where the weight of the body should be placed onto the skeletal structure that we do not sit on our legs as we leave our swallow muscles alone. Do we feel constraint, or do we feel a freedom? Do we feel our body give itself permission to do so? As we leave our swallowing muscles alone. Indeed, we might have been holding our swallow muscles, or we might have been associating our swallow muscles with our breathing muscles, but as we breathe and pretend that there's a candle in front of our lips that we're trying to not put out, as we consciously and unconsciously breathe, our swallow muscles have nothing to do with the exhalation or the inhalation, but is rather best used for just eating or drinking. But whether consciously or unconsciously, the swallowing muscles should never be used when breathing, when simply becoming aware of this candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out. We might be allowed to leave our swallowing muscles alone at all times. Because we're not thinking about inhaling or exhaling, but we are definitely thinking about leaving our swallow muscles alone. As the swallow muscles, did you know, exist, the swallowing pipe exists behind the breathing pipe. So should we want to expand the back portion of the circle, the back half of this breathing pipe, we must disengage and relax the swallow muscles in order to round out that back part of our breathing muscle, of our breathing tube. We must leave the swallow muscles alone. As the breathing pipe exists in front of the swallowing pipe, so in order to open up the back half of that whole of the breathing pipe, we will need to relax the swallow muscles to get them out the way so that a full circle can be formed by the breathing passage in front. We must leave our swallowing muscles alone when we are breathing. We must leave our swallowing muscles alone at all times unless we're actually eating food or swallowing drink. We must leave our swallowing muscles alone anytime we're breathing, besides the times we are actually swallowing food or drink. When we are dancing, when we are singing, when we are performing physical duties, when we are reading a book, when we are doing anything in life that does not involve actually eating and drinking, we are leaving our swallow muscles alone. When we are speaking, when we are talking, when we are dancing, when we are conversing, when we are washing dishes, when we are walking, when we are working on a computer, we are leaving our swallow muscles alone. I challenge you today, as we are stretching our self-awareness like a muscle, as we are allowing these sounds to blend into the symphony of the world that is around you. We challenge you today, when you are walking or when you are dancing or when you are singing, we challenge you today to leave your swallowing muscles alone. And just observe your sense of self. Observe your integration into that music. Observe your integration into that book. Observe your integration into that conversation. Your ability to integrate into the present moment. Observe that as we leave your swallowing muscles alone this week and today. We'll be back here on the Best Feeling Podcast and the Best Feeling Network, your only no-nonsense podcast with Herbie here on Go On. We'll be right back after this short break. But only if you're remembering to leave your swallow muscles alone. Depressed? Has the chaos of the world got you feeling confused and apathetic? Even gassy? Feeling like nothing gets you out of this funk? When you're feeling lost in the daily grind, left feeling meaningless, don't touch grass, touch the front of your shins. Feel less tired and more inspired with us on the Best Feeling Podcast. Go on. Feeling so good from the inside out, better than your morning would feel without. Welcome back to the Best Feeling Podcast, and the Best Feeling Network, your only no-nonsense podcast. I'm your host, Herbie, and this is Go On. We hope you will join us in allowing all of these words to go in one ear and then out the other as we are holding on to the meanings and the spirits of the words. And of course, the balance as we are traveling through this space meditation today. Welcome back to another Mover Monday. Today is Monday, November 14th, 2022. Every Monday on Palguan is a Mover Monday where we discuss the relationship between ourselves and ourselves. Today we are introducing the body map of the week, which is to leave your swallow muscles alone. Again, it is to leave your swallow muscles alone and observe your sense of self. As we leave our swallow muscles alone and pretend that there's a candle in front of our lips that we're trying to not put out. We're not thinking about inhaling or exhaling necessarily. Just that there's a lit candle just flickering in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out. Ooh, like a birthday candle. We challenge you to hold this candle in front of your lips and everybody's lips, whether they're in front of you, whether they're behind you, whether they are outside, whether they're thousands of miles away in your thoughts or something like that. When we challenge you to pretend that there's a candle in front of everyone's lips that they're trying to not put out. It's just part of their design. And observe your sense of self as we leave our swallowing muscles alone. You know, your sense of self, like how your left side of your body feels different than your right side of your body, or how sometimes your body feels in posture and balance, and sometimes it feels out of balance and out of whack. How does our sense of self feel? We challenge you to observe your sense of self as you leave your swallow muscles alone today. Do we notice an ease towards allowing the weight of the body to be delivered down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times? Do we observe an ease towards this weight track, this balance track? Do we feel an ease towards allowing the weight of the body to be delivered down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times when we leave our swallow muscles alone? How easy or how difficult does it feel this week on Palguan? How easy or difficult does it feel to allow the weight to be delivered into these rainbow arches and into the sit bones? And how easy or difficult does it feel to remember that we do not sit on our legs, as the diagram behind me shows, when we leave our swallow muscles alone? The muscles that we associate with eating food or drink. But not only do not need to be engaged when simply allowing the body to breathe, not only do not need swallow muscles to be engaged when we are breathing, naturally exhaling and inhaling as the body does on its own, when we are allowing the alignment of the body to do what it needs to do and balance the body. When the body is receiving properly this exhalation and this inhalation, not only do the swallow muscles not need to be involved, they specifically need to be relaxed, as the breathing pipe of our body, as you'll see on the screen for me right here, exists in the front of the throat, the front of the neck, whereas the swallow muscles exist behind. And as that swallow pipe exists behind the breathing pipe in the front, in order to get a nice round, large expansion of that breathing pipe in the front, we necessarily must relax the swallow muscles so that it creates a nice relaxation in behind breathing pipe, which will allow that breathing pipe to expand in the back properly, by not just saying it could be okay that the swallow muscles be left alone, but that is actually part of the entire required process. It is a prerequisite for that entire breathing pipe to be expanded completely and for us to get a full, life-loving realigning of the body breath. Should we do this like a game every successful time you are able to match up that intention of receiving a full life-loving breath, a full life-loving and body realigning breath, like a game, in order to receive this, We shall leave the swallowing muscles alone. Match the intentions of leaving the swallow muscles alone with receiving a realigning and life-loving breath. Again, like a game, we are rewarded for every time we align the intentions of leaving our swallowing muscles alone with the intention of receiving a life-loving and thus body realigning breath. We match the intention of leaving the swallowing muscles alone with our intention of receiving a life-loving and body realigning breath. How might your sense of self feel? We challenge you to observe your sense of self today as you leave your swallowing muscles alone in order to receive those life-loving breaths. You might ask, Herbie, why is it that we ever began engaging our swallow muscles whenever we would breathe? Well, we might have mapped inside our internal body, we might have mapped our swallowing pipe to be in front of our breathing pipe. And so we might have in the past believed that in order to free up space, in order to breathe properly, we need to engage these swallow muscles to pull them front, to get them out of the way of what we perceived to be our breathing pipe, thinking that it was behind the swallow pipe. And so that would cause us to choke and get a death-fearing and struggling breath every time we would try to consciously breathe, as we would try to engage those swallow muscles, thinking we had to get them out the way in the front. But instead, we need to relax those swallow muscles to get them out of the way properly because they're in the back. So should we relax those muscles, we naturally create the ability for the breathing muscles to be completely free to do their job. And the stability muscles of your body to do their job. Simply keep the body stable, as we know we receive proper breaths and we don't steal them from the earth. As in, mechanically, our body, in order to receive as much air in the most life-loving way, the most way that feels not just balanced, but actually has a presence of a good feeling like euphoria, as our body is allowed to feel weightless, as the weight-bearing portions of our skeletal structure are allowed to bear the weight of the body by letting go of the proper muscles that used to be holding our spine in like some awkward positions, trying to compensate for balance, instead of letting the balancing parts of our body do their job. As we know, to get the proper rhythm for our body to receive air in a way that feels so good into our body actually needs to be more relaxed, so that the air in our bodies, the lungs in our bodies, can be filled properly. Should our body be tense where it should not be, the lungs will have a hard time traveling their pattern that they need to in order to fill us with that life-loving feeling of receiving a full and life-loving and aligning breath. A self-aligning breath that our body is designed to do. As every time we get a proper breath, we align our body. It aligns our body like a game. Realigns itself with every proper breath. How come it wasn't doing that before? Well, maybe we thought we needed to use the swallowing muscles in order to breathe. Or possibly we would flex the swallow muscles, possibly to appear still from the outside for whatever reason we might have had in life, whatever fear we had in life that usually involved a fear of punishments, of some kind of discipline by somebody else, or maybe the fear of even social embarrassment. We've often sought to appear still, and one of the common choices to appear still often involved engaging the swallow muscles, whether that be to swallow to imitate getting a good breath, or perhaps to engage the swallow muscles to appear still from the outside, possibly to restrict ourselves from taking a deep breath, which would confess or reveal to the outside world that we were paying attention to something we shouldn't have been. How often did we use our swallowing muscles to think that we needed them to breathe properly? But I challenge you today to observe your sense of self as we blend into this symphony of the sounds around you. challenge you today to observe your sense of self as you leave your swallow muscles alone. Of course, not when you're eating or drinking. We don't want you drowning out there. But in every other moment in life, just outside of actually swallowing food and drink, how does it feel to observe your sense of self as you leave your swallow muscles alone? Does your body fidget? Does your body struggle? Does your body wiggle? Do you find yourself having an easier time aligning closer to the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches like all of the time? And remembering that you do not sit on your legs, does it become easier? Or do you notice that do you notice a more apparent permission for your body to allow its weight to be delivered into the weight-bearing portions of the spine and into the rainbow arches? Remembering that you do not sit on your legs, does that become a clearer perception for you when you leave your swallowing muscles alone? Maybe it's kind of difficult. Maybe it feels awkward. Maybe you don't notice a change. If it feels frustrating, feel free to stop and take a break at any time. Feel free to revisit this video at any time if you need a refresher. How does it feel to remember to leave your swallowing muscles alone as you observe your sense of self? We'll be right back after this short break to send you off with some good old body magic tricks. I hope you're allowing us to blend into the symphony of your life around you. This has been the Best Feeling Podcast and the Best Feeling Network, your only no-nonsense podcast. My name is Herbie. We'll be right back on Pago One. We have a recommended book reading list. If you feel like you have a hard time understanding yourself at this stage in your life, check out No More Mr. Nice Guy by Robert A. Glover. It's an aggressive title, but a very meaningful book when it comes to understanding the self, both men and women, masculinity and femininity. So you'll see it first in yourself, then throughout the world, so it brings peace through understanding. Do you suffer from a mental illness that you want to actually do something about? Or do you just want to be able to change your patterns and behaviors in life? Check out that book with the girl with holding her hand up. It's an amazing book. The Body's Map of Consciousness, Volume 1, Movement, by Lansing, Barrett, Gresham, and Julie J. Nichols. Do you have body or neck aches throughout the day or throughout the night? And gone to chiropractors and just been frustrated with not being able to get a permanent fix? Check out the purple book, The Structures and Movement of Breathing, by Barbara Conable, and Anatomy of the Voice by Theodore Dimon for a more detailed look. There, that book on the left. Take charge in getting your relief back. All these books are highly recommended, and pretty short and just freaking phenomenal books. Beyond impressive, incredible, ridiculous, awesome, stupendous, prodigious. Feeling so good from the inside out, better than your morning would feel without. My name is Herbie. Welcome back to the Best Feeling Podcast and the Best Feeling Network, your only no-nonsense podcast. Pal, go on. Today is Monday, November 14th, 2022. Here on Pal Go On, every Monday is a Mover Monday. We've been discussing the relationship between ourselves and ourselves today. And we've specifically been talking about, leaving the swallow muscles alone. I challenge you today, whether you're going to be walking around today, whether you're going to be working using pen and paper, whether you'll be on a laptop, whether you'll be working with some food and drink, we challenge you today to observe your sense of self while you leave your swallow muscles alone. Let's attack the heck out of this week. Let's bring fame and fortune to come our way, or whatever may come, but through balance and authenticity and freedom, as we know are synonymous with peace and happiness. Indeed, we know that the freedom to move in any direction is easiest from a point of balance, which means if we want to explore new behaviors in life, new patterns of behaviors, and allow and give the world permission to introduce new patterns and behaviors into our lives, we must feel free to do so. We must feel free to move into these new patterns of behavior. And how is that easiest done? Well, of course, from a place of balance. We challenge you to observe your sense of self today, as in how easy it is to feel the weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all times when we are leaving our swallow muscles alone. And how easy is it to feel that we do not sit on our legs, but rather the lack of sitting of our legs allows the weight of the body to be then placed where it's supposed to be, which is into the sit bones, just getting weight from the weight-bearing portion of the spine, which is the front. We challenge you to observe your sense of self as you leave your swallowing muscles alone today and throughout the week. As we get closer to the truth and balance and for freedom, for authentic movement in our lives, we notice both an immediate and continuous improvement in the freedom to act authentically and with a presence of grace in our lives. We notice both an immediate and continuous improvement as we align closer to the truth. So we challenge you to observe your sense of self today as you leave your swallowing muscles alone, as you dance, as you sing. Observe your sense of self and the quality that it brings. If we do so as we leave our swallowing muscles alone, as we do so, as we remember to listen to the front of our shins like they are the speakers of the world around us and the tuning fork of the world around us. The tips of the tongue wants to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth as seen behind me on the screen, no matter what you are doing. And so this week specifically, as you dance and sing, perform really anything, we challenge you to pretend there's a candle in front of your lips, but specifically we challenge you to leave your swallowing muscles alone this week and observe your sense of self, observe the quality of your sing and dance, or whatever you may be doing, whether you're doing something with your feet or with your hands. We challenge you to observe the quality at which it feels authentic and free as we leave our swallowing muscles alone this day and week. Thank you for being here on this Monday, November 14th, 2022, Mover Monday. Thank you so much for being here. Please smash the like button, smash the subscribe button. Let us blend into that Let us integrate into that beautiful symphony of life that is happening around you. Never stay out of the moment, but always stay present as we leave our swallowing muscles alone. Observe your sense of self as your body is the most true and honest and authentic thing there is, as your body is only here and now, not in the future, in the past, in your imagination, but your body is here right now. So we hope you will stay present with us at all times as we observe our sense of self and leave our swallowing muscles alone today and for the rest of the week and throughout. After that, I'll see you tomorrow on a True Love Tuesday as we are using our sense of the world to make sense of the world. As we are feeling so good from the inside out, better than your morning would feel without. For inner and outer world peace through individual strength. Please allow all these words to go in one ear and out the other and feel so free and authentic today and for the rest of this week. Let's go attack this week, baby. We'll see you tomorrow on True Love Tuesday. My name is Herbie. This is Padawan, baby.